What's up, everybody? Happy Monday, y'all. How's everybody doing? Welcome to a another pop-up. Where it's like a theme of pop-ups this week. I was on yesterday for a little bit, and go figure. I was up late last night for all good reasons. But the reason why we're on today is because what an amazing show my brother from another mother put on last night. And if you didn't catch it, here it is. Shame bell all up in your grill. Shame. 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 Last night was Battle of the Remixers. DJ Riddler hosted it. If you guys missed it, it was such an amazing show. Um, I, it was just such an amazing show. It was an amazing way to pay homage to just an era of music between 1995 and 2005 was just such a magical era in music, and it meant a lot to us, especially the community up in the Northeast in New York, because we were the ones that started it, right? Let's be real. New York house music really put that progressive stamp on just that genre. So last night was just such an amazing show. I was up. It went for 4 hours. It was a magical 4 hours, and I can't say. Oh man, it was just so awesome. I'm at a loss for words, and I'm really excited to have the opportunity to have my brother from another mother, Rich DJ Riddler, on today. This morning, after thinking about the show, I hit him up on a text message, and I was just like, "Yo, would you want to get on Chillin with Mendez and just get on and talk?" And he goes, "Funny, I was gonna hit you up and see if you want to do a recap show." And I was like, "You know what? Let's do it." So without further ado, I want to bring on someone that really means a lot to me personally. He's a very good friend of mine. We've been friends for many years. We actually lived in the same town and spent a lot of time together. So here he is, the man, the myth, the legend. Let me bring him on. DJ Riddler! Well, yeah, wait, you're in Texas, so what are you, an hour or two behind? Ah, not too bad. How are you feeling after last night? Congratulations on spinning a 4 hour set.
Playing the music and remembering these songs, it took me back like it always does, and I really lost track of time, and it took me literally probably 2 hours to come down off of that. I couldn't sleep for another 2 hours.
Oh, really? Hey, Rich, hold on one second. I didn't have your sound up for like maybe the first 30 seconds, but let me recap what Riddler just said. Coming from the Northeast, Rich was always accustomed to spinning those long sets. I think that's the part that we couldn't hear you on. How's that? Oh, okay, it's okay now? All right, sorry about that, Rich. Uh,
Yeah, no, like I was saying, when we spinning 4 6 hours was like a minimum. We were used to doing 6 7 8 or longer hour sets. But streaming for 4 hours, yeah, I mean, I give you props because I see you doing your marathon Twitch sets or Facebook live sets, and props to you. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun last night. It brought me back. Took me 2 hours just to kind of come down from it. I had to I was up for another maybe 2 hours just you know thinking about how everything went.
yeah. So, I mean, How did this all start? So it started with 2 weeks ago. You did Battle of the Divas, and from what you told me, that went phenomenal. It was a great show. A lot of people participated. Then, what made you come up with doing the remixers?
Well, like I said, two Sundays ago we did I last minute. And actually, you inspired me to do Battle of the Divas. I was watching your live stream and my son was watching too. He's like, "Hey, is that your friend who DJ'd at the pool for 7 hours?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's him." Yeah, he was watching you DJ, right poolside doing the surf club live set, and I started hearing the music that you were playing, and you did an amazing job. And you played a lot of surf club classics, a lot of vocals, and I was coming on after you. So I guess like maybe usually what I try to do before I do my Sunday Dance Mix NYC uh, club classics is I try to get a general idea of what I'm going to do. I mean, I don't really plan the set, but I just kind of get a general idea because when I started doing Dance Mix NYC club classics, it was all vinyl. So I was doing nothing but vinyl, grabbing vinyl from storage every week and playing stuff. So there is a little bit of prep because of that. But as I was watching your stream and seeing and hearing all of the different diva vocals, I said, you know what? I've been saying, you've seen on Instagram how they, like a lot of the hip hop guys were doing, you know, uh, the battles
Yes.
between, whether it was 50 Cent versus whatever, right? So I said, okay, what if I did a Divas battle? At first I was thinking, okay, maybe we just do Deborah Cox versus Whitney Houston, right? But then I was like, okay, but there was more than just them in our era. So then I'm also a sports fan and watching I was seeing how, baseball is trying to figure out how they were going to do their playoff bracket, right? Playoff system. So let's do it with the divas. So I picked 12 divas, and with the 12 divas, two of them got first round buys,
Uh-huh.
which obviously, like a Whitney Houston and a Deborah Cox, they're going to get a first round buy, right?
For sure.
And it went amazing because that Sunday night I would play a song from, say, I think in the first round I had Tony Braxton versus Mary J. Blige. So I'd play Tony Braxton Unbreak My Heart, the Soul Solution Hex Hector remix. And then I would play
Thanks.
A Mary song. And then I'd ask the people, okay, who do you want to go in the next round? Tony or Mary? And then it just flowed, and it got a good reaction. So while we were doing the show, when we got to the end and it got to Deborah Cox versus Whitney Houston, and that was a pretty epic battle. So obviously the remixes was like, mostly Hex, Jonathan. I played Jonathan Peters, same script, different cast of Deborah Cox and Whitney Houston in the finals. And then I asked people to choose who they would get. And Deborah Cox won.
Yeah.
So right after Deborah Cox won, I asked all of the streamers, everybody in the chat, I said, hey, what do you think about doing a battle of the remixers? And everybody was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was like, all right, so next Sunday, let's do Battle of the Remixers. And then I started thinking about, okay, I got to do more than 12. 12 isn't enough.
No, definitely not. There's
It's
too many.
not enough. And I said, this could easily become like a March Madness, like 32 team bracket. But then we'd be doing an Andrew Mendez 7-hour marathon set.
Not a
And I
bad.
didn't know if I was ready for that. So I said, let's do 16. We'll do the Sweet 16. And I asked people on Facebook. I asked, I asked people like you and some other industry people, and obviously I had Hosh Gorelli, music
Yeah.
industry veteran, on, and he gave me his suggestions, and we came up. I came up with the Sweet 16 for it.
Well, what I want to say, leading up into this, the first off, the 16 that you picked, or we collectively picked, or what the final list was a great list, and the matching was amazing. But what I truly appreciated is when you did have Hosh Gorelli on. And for those of you guys who don't know who Hosh is, he's pretty much the man, the myth, the legend that put together the teams that brought you the music and brought you the remixers that defined a generation of music. But that show was such an amazing show on many levels because you guys really explained the intention of what this was. It really wasn't a battle. It was really more so to pay homage to these amazing remixers and these amazing producers who really shaped what dance music was in the world, more specifically.
Yeah, and for those that didn't get to watch that interview, yeah, it's exactly that. I mean, the Battle of the Remixers was just the title, but it is just a celebration and a tribute to the producers and the remixers in that time period from 95 to 2005. And Hosh Gorelli played a very big part of that because, like you said, he commissioned all the remixers during that time that set kind of the standard for the rest of the world at that time. And for many years, New York City was the mecca of dance music.
Mm-hmm.
People all over the world came to New York City to experience the club life, the nightlife.
Uh, what's something that you miss the most about that era? Uh, what's something that pops out at you when you're nostalgic and you're thinking about the times when you were living in the Northeast? What was as far as the community and the culture? What's something that you truly miss?
You know what I do miss? I miss going to record stores because going to the record stores every week, you would bump into the DJs.
Yeah,
You would see what the DJs would be buying, or who, a lot. I mean, I wasn't, when I first moved to New York, obviously I didn't have that like high profile where they would set aside a couple of records and imports for me.
yeah,
But I would always look and see, oh, what you got over there? You know, that's what I miss because going to a record store, whether it was 8 Ball Records or, you know, wherever you wanted to go, right?
hmm
That was part of the culture because you got to see everyone, you got to mingle with everyone, you got to listen to stuff, you got to discover things. And even Hosh Gorelli touched up on this. There's nothing like going up to a DJ as like a record promoter and handing that piece of vinyl to a DJ and having him play that exclusive vinyl for the first time and seeing the reaction on the dance floor.
yeah.
That's what I miss.
You know what? Who? What was the first time you heard a DJ play one of your records?
You mean like,
Like your remix, a remix for you.
oh, like a remix?
Yeah.
Um, man. Uh,
How about more? How about how did that make you feel when somebody played your music?
well, yeah. I mean, well, a lot of times, yeah, I'll be honest with you. There was a time when, I mean, I wasn't personally there, but people would say, "Yo, they're playing your remix at, at Factory." I'm like, "What?" Like, you know, um, that would happen, and I would just be like, "That's cool," Uh, there's no feeling like that. Whether it's whether it was on the dance floor or even on the radio too.
Mhm.
When KTU was like the station in New York City, hearing your record on the radio or hearing your record in the club in New York City, because New York City, like I said, during that time period was the mecca for music.
Yeah. What was funny, I started producing later in my career, but two of the remixer producers that you had in the Sweet 16 actually were two of the DJs who played my records for the first time. One of them was Razor, from Razor and Guido, played my remix of Funky Town. And the first time I heard my record on the radio and even live was Junior played my stuff. And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag on who won or who lost or anything, but the reason why I wanted to bring that up was just how it made you feel to hear your record, how it made me feel to hear a record, is just that nostalgic feeling that I miss the most of being a club kid or a club goer that would go out there, hear like a massive remix of Your Love Is My Love in the middle of the dance floor, and that feeling of just that speechlessness.
Yeah.
So what I want to say is last night totally captured that for me because your track selection and the music that you played was just so spot on.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah. It's interesting because, I asked a lot of people, including yourself, and I asked a lot of people on my timeline, what do they want to hear? And obviously, my Sunday show, I do have some regulars, so I kind of know what they like. But I did try to pick some non-obvious remixes
Yeah.
because it could be easy for me to just go with the same remixes that everybody knows, which is fine. But I did want to kind of mix it up a little bit and play some things that maybe you may or may not have heard yet.
Yeah. Well, that was such an amazing job. So how about why don't you give the whole breakdown of like the Sweet 16, what you did for each producer remixer, and how you advanced each person into it for people who missed it last night.
Okay, so as I was saying, I decided to do a Sweet 16 bracket. So think of your Sweet 16 brackets, and I had 8 remixers on one side and 8 remixers on the other side. And what I tried to do was I didn't want to have like, say, progressive big room DJs on one side and house DJs on the other side. So I tried to mix them up. So for instance, on the right bracket, I had David Morales work in that first round. Then I had Jonathan Peters and Johnny Vicious in a bracket in that first round. Then I had Roger Sanchez with Armand Van Helden, and then Robbie Rivera with Hex Hector. So that would be the right side bracket. On the left side, I had Hani going up against Todd Terry. Then we had Razor and Guido with Thunderpuss, and then Victor Calderon with Peter Rawhofer. Then Danny Teneglia with Junior Vasquez. And what I decided to do, just in that first round, I would play 2 different remixes from each of the producers.
Uh-huh.
So I kicked off the show with David Morales, started out with Bad Yard Club featuring Crystal Waters, the 1996 David Morales Anthem remix.
Yeah, you came out swinging with that. When you put that record on, everybody in the chat was like, those drums, though. I mean,
yeah.
And I forgot about, there's so many records that he did that I forgot about, but that really was a great choice of music to just start the show off and to set the tone of what you wanted to accomplish, because I bet you there's a lot of people who forgot about that record, including myself.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you with that, especially because I tried to keep it mostly vinyl, obviously, and I had the vinyl in my collection just laying around here, and when I was looking, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good way to kick off the show, because that record right there, from my memory, the original obviously was a huge, massive worldwide hit, and that remix from '96 with Crystal Waters was bananas. So
bananas.
yeah. And then after I played, Indie Ghetto, I went into a Mariah Carey, My All, David Morales mix. I mean, he's definitely linked to Mariah. He did pretty much all of her early remixes. So, and also I'm a Mariah fan. so that's how that went.
Yeah.
Then we went to Masters at Work. I'm trying to remember, what did I play for Masters at Work? I played their remix of Janet.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. That was
Go Deep.
Really, you did a great job picking some records that reminded us of how amazing they were as remixes.
Yeah, so I played the Janet Go Deep Masters at Work remix. The dub is actually really good, but I did go with the vocal, but their dub mix of that is really, really good too.
Yeah.
Really great for the dance floor. And then I followed it up with another classic, House of Gypsies, Some Say.
Yes.
Got to play that. Everybody used those drums.
Everyone.
Everyone's used those drums.
Someone in the comments was like, this was sampled in every Bollywood record ever imaginable. The chat was going crazy when you dropped that record.
Yeah.
So then you played like 2 records from each, and then you asked everybody on Facebook and Twitch to vote.
Right.
The voting and how passionate people were getting in the comments. And what I will say, and this is what I love about the community, nobody was malicious with each other. Everyone had great points. Everybody was acting maturely in the chat. And it was really such a great positive experience with this open discussion on who should move forward. That was something that I really took away from last night. The community was great.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I had to remind people in the beginning of the show, this wasn't about original production.
Yeah.
People were saying, oh, well, why didn't you play, like, for instance, like with Jonathan saying, Silver all this time. Like, that was like an original, wasn't a remix. So the parameters for the show was I played remixes of theirs, not their original production. Because if this was like original production show, then the Sweet 16 would totally be different, I would think.
Yeah.
And but yeah, people were pretty civil, but passionate. Especially as we got to the top 8, final 4. I mean, it was
great. So then moving on from that round
we went to I would go from right to left. So I went to Hani and Todd Terry.
But David Morales took it.
Yes. No. Yeah. David Morales won that first round. And let me just say, I had my own personal bracket that I did. And I was actually thinking, you know what, maybe I can make this into a contest with people, fill in your brackets. I didn't have that kind of time, though, because that would require people to send me the brackets like ahead of time and then try to figure out who's going to win. And, if I had like a 2-week lead time, we could have probably done something like that where people submit their brackets and see who gets it right. Mm-hmm. But I had my own personal brackets, and I could say in that round, I did pick David Morales in that first round.
Yeah. So then we bopped over to the left, and then we had Hani
versus Todd Terry.
And you know what? There's a little not controversy, but the great discussion about this one was there were just two different styles, and I think
Yep.
that's what everybody was really conflicted about. But at the end of the day, Todd Terry came out on top.
I mean, Todd Terry's a legend, and you know, it's his Everything But the Girl remix for Missing, which is the mix that I did play
Yes.
in this first round, kind of set the tone for remixers in that era, because that was when record labels were already doing remixes,
Mm-hmm.
but when Everything But the Girl Missing came out and the record labels saw how a remix can become the version over the regular version and outperform the artist version,
Yeah.
that's when record labels were like, all right, we need to be in the remix business completely.
Mm-hmm.
Then you started seeing the majors. I mean, indies have always been doing it, and major labels had their little dance departments. But when Todd Terry's Missing remix came out, that's when the major labels saw the value of remixes and how it could change things and make them money. So,
and it was the good discussion about that round was that Hani had some amazing hits too.
he had he had a lot of remixes. If you look at Hani's discography,
Yes.
it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite Hani remix that pops to your head?
DeLacy is like probably my favorite.
Mine is he did a remix of Earth Song, Michael Jackson, and it was
Yes.
Blood on the Dance Floor compilation. And a memory I have of Hani was I was DJing at Cheetah, and somebody said Hani's here, and I never met him before, and I played the Earth Song right smack in the middle of the night, and he came up to the DJ booth, and it was the first time I met him. Then what an amazing guy! What an amazing guy!
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he has so many remixes to his credit.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
remixes.
These brackets were tough, man. There were a couple of remixers, like I said, when I talked with Posh, there were a lot of remixers that probably should have been in this Sweet 16 too. I mean, you look at people like Jason Nevins, for instance. That almost made I was contemplating about that. Like, I was even thinking maybe put Jason Nevins versus Hani instead of Todd Terry. There was a thought in doing that. That might have been probably made a little more sense of a matchup, since they were both kind of commercial, but had some club credibility. But how can you not put Todd Terry?
Yeah. Todd Terry is the man, the myth, the legend. But I also love the song that you picked when you played Hani. You played "Share the Love."
Yes.
Great record. Great record.
Yeah.
Great.
That's a good one. Do you remember what I played after "Share the Love" though?
Last night there was so much music and so much going on. My senses were just all over the place.
I have to go back because I can't remember now.
I think after this we should do a watch party of last night's set.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Todd Terry took that bracket. Then we bounced over to the Battle of New York.
Yes. I saw somebody post on there. Oh no, was it? No, they didn't post that. I was thinking, but actually, yeah. I mean, it was Jonathan Peters versus Johnny Vicious, and this was an interesting lineup because you're basically pitting two legends, two New York City legends.
Yeah.
Especially in the Classics Facebook page and Classic Club Life Facebook page, you got a lot of Jonathan Peters, Johnny Vicious fans. So I was wondering how this was going to be.
What I appreciate the most about this matchup is because it was the era when they were both successful was at the same time, and it was such a great matchup. And so many people in the chat were so torn. this actually was one of the closest battles and most torn of a couple of them. I mean, all the lineups here were amazing, but this one, it was close. It was really close.
Yeah, and I have to thank you too because you were my second set of eyes and ears
Uh huh.
during this. I mean, I was kind of keeping track, but like I asked you before, I was like, Andrew, I need you to be be my eyes and ear, my second set of eyes and ears, because I don't want to get this wrong, especially when it comes to being so close. Because I didn't want to like make this into, oh, it's all rigged, it's all fixed.
Nah, it was super duper close. And I have my notes and everything right here of each and every single person that voted. And there's a couple of you guys on Twitch that were trying to vote twice.
I know they're being
No, no,
sneaky. They're
no.
trying to be sneaky.
Trying to be sneaky. It's all good, but I was keeping track, and here's my tally. And what I will say that was one of the battles that got the most votes, but only separated the winner by 2 votes. It was close.
That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember because I was texting you. I was like, "Okay, can we call it? Can we call it yet?" It's like, "Nope, not yet." I'm
Like no,
all right,
because you know why? In the chat, people were discussing it.
right.
And then you had the next song playing for the next round, and when you're asking me for comparing our results real quick behind the scenes, I'm like, hold on, man, people are still discussing this. This is a heated discussion right now.
Right.
Like another minute or two. But at the end of the day, Mr. Peters went on to the next round.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in my personal bracket, I did actually have Jonathan advancing.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you want to share your personal bracket, but I'm sharing mine. I will say ahead of time that my brackets were not correct.
Yes.
I did get some wrong,
Uh-huh.
which we're going to talk about on the next round.
Yeah. I was right for the first 16, but after that, uh-uh. I was all messed up. But
So,
what did you play for Johnny? I think you played No Mercy.
yes, I played No Mercy,
Yes.
and then I also played uh, was it Hedwig Angry Itch?
Angry Inch. Yes.
Inch, yes.
Yeah, you said
I
it.
wanted it to be hard. I wanted to play something hard of Johnny Vicious,
Yeah.
and that dub is just crazy.
Hmm. And that's Johnny. Like he had his melodic remixes, but he also had his harder stuff. And the Angry Inch was definitely a floor banger in the club scene back then, and that was a really really great choice. And then with
And for Jonathan, I played Jessica Folker.
mhm,
Kind of felt like,
you got
I mean, that is like the female bop anthem.
it.
And then also played his what did I play? I think I played Whitney, right?
Yes, you did.
Whitney Houston, My Love Is Your Love.
Hmm. Yeah, I would probably.
Just because I remember hearing him play that song multiple nights where literally he'd play it for like 45 minutes
Yes,
to an hour.
and I would probably say an hour. An hour.
Yeah.
And I think when you even talked about it last night, you said you went to Factory, one of those experiences, and you were there. It was on for 45 minutes. And you also mentioned that that's what broke records then. That's what broke records then. It was these DJs like a Jonathan, like a Junior, Victor, big room DJs who would work records and play it for a very long time. And going back to my earlier question of some of the things that I do miss, I miss the impact of breaking records and being able to go to a club to experience the journey of the music. And those 2 records, Jessica Falker and Whitney, were definitely records that took you on a journey. And I think that's what, at the end of the day, his fans came out for him yesterday and voted, and he moved on to the next round.
Yeah, which takes us to and Thunderpuss.
Yeah, this This one for me was it was tough. It was a tough one. It was a tough one because that matchup was just even. It was really even, and even on the votes that I'm looking at, that was actually the one that separated the win by one.
Yeah, I mean, I love both of those guys, and that's where my bracket already was busted because I actually had Thunderpuss advancing. So when you called it for Razor and Guido, I'm happy for Razor and Guido. Don't get me wrong, love those guys, love all of these guys. But yeah, it was a close one. That was a close battle right there.
Yeah, but you want to know what? Even when I'm DJing, their sounds, like although they had their own sounds, their records sound so good together. Like anytime that I would play like a Thunderpuss vocal, I would definitely throw on some type of Razor and Guido vocal, like somewhere within that time frame of the set, just because, man, that pairing was really good. And again, everybody in the chat were torn. Everybody in the chat were torn, and the songs that you played for them was just awesome. I think you played "You Used to Hold Me," Razor and Guido, if I remember
Yep,
correctly.
yep. I started with with You Used to Hold Me, and then I played their remix of Notorious B.I.G. Mo Money, Mo Problems.
Yeah,
Because Hosh Gorelli in our pregame show, he talked about that remix. He talked about the remix they did and Junior playing it. And when that breakdown came down to the original version, the crowd went wild.
wow.
And I think we saw that in the chat too. I
Yeah,
saw some comments where people were talking about that.
yeah. People were talking about it, but you know what I found interesting, and this goes with like being a good remixer. Like when you remix a song, it's timeless, right? It transcends just time. And there was a couple people who never heard that remix before in the chat, and when it broke down, they're like, "Whoa, this is dope!" And it just goes to show you, good remixes. You could play it now, play it then, play it 10 years from now. It's still going to be dope. And that was definitely an amazing remix and broke a lot of ground for Razor and Guido. And Razor was on last night.
Yeah, that was a really pleasant surprise too. I think you were the one that told me. He was like, "Yo, Razor's on,"
Yeah, text.
and then
Yo, Razor.
And then actually Razor he texted me too. He was like, "Hey man, I'm really enjoying this show. Thanks for having me on." You know, I'm like, "No, thanks for joining the stream."
It was so great having him because he was so factual when a song came on. I remember you played. I don't know if it was in this round or one of the rounds. You played "This Joy" or
Yep,
"Unspeakable."
Vanessa Mitchell.
Yeah, was it "This Joy" or "Unspeakable Joy"? I think it was "This Joy" because he put in
Yeah.
the comments that he layered 3 kick drums into that, and he was just participating so much that it got the room so hype, and everybody's so happy to see him in there. So big ups to Razor if you're on right now, dude. It was great having you on last night. Thank you for all the information and participating, man. It was really really cool. It was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, with Thunderpuss, I knew this matchup was going to be tough. It was tough for me to decide,
Hmm.
but you know, Thunderpuss, Bear Harris, Chris Cox. Um, you know, I had a lot of experience working with these two. I had the pleasure of working with them at Tommy Boy when I worked at Tommy Boy Records. We did a lot of remixes with them. I did play Amber Sexual. That was one of the remixes I chose because that was a huge remix in the tri-state area.
Big.
And of course, their remix of Whitney Houston, "It's Not Right, It's Okay." I played. I actually almost played their Mary J. Blige "No More Drama" remix.
Oh,
That was an epic remix. I was working at MCA Records at that time. So a true story about this is they contacted us. They're like, "Hey, can we have the acapella to Mary J. Blige, No More Drama?" And Mark Davenport and I were like, "Yeah, sure. Uh, take a stab at it." and then they ended up doing the remix. We got it approved by Mary J. Blige herself. She approved everything.
Yeah, you mentioned
and and she approved it. We ended up putting it out, and it ended up being put on the Mary J. Blige remixed album.
Mm-hmm.
But that remix, it's a shame I didn't get a chance to play it last night. I did play it for the Divas show the week previous, which is the reason why I didn't play it last night, because I figured, all right, for those that watched it last week, they already heard it.
Yeah.
And that remix right there has 3 separate tempo changes when you listen to that remix. So for those that haven't heard the Thunderpuss remix of Mary J. Blige No More Drama, listen to it, because there's 3 different tempo changes, and it's all good. That's all I could say.
It is all good. But then with that super close battle, the hometown heroes, Razor and Guido, moved forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that too. Again, though, at that point, if we were betting money, my bracket's already busted. I'm already out.
Yeah. So then, bopped onto the other side, we had Roger Sanchez and Armand Van Helden.
Yes. Yes, man.
Yeah, great pairing right there. And what was your thought process behind putting those two in?
Well, obviously, they're both house guys. I want, like I said, when I was putting the Sweet 16 together, I wanted to balance it out. I didn't want it to just be all progressive big room guys. I didn't want it to just be all house guys. But these two were, arguably one of the biggest house remixers in that era.
Yeah.
I mean, Roger Sanchez, he remixed Daft Punk. He remixed. I played their No Doubt. I played his No Doubt remix of Hella Good.
Yeah.
Armand Van Helden, of course. Tori Amos. I used Tori Amos and Sneaker Pimps, Spin Spin Sugar.
Mm-hmm. Spin Spin Sugar was such a massive record. That bass line, when it dropped in a room, it would just make your chest.
Yeah. Without a doubt. So that was a interesting matchup right there.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting matchup. It was probably one of the most creative matchups that I thought you had on there. But then who took it? At the end of the day, the people spoke. And who moved
right
forward?
And Armand advances.
And Armand advanced. What was that?
Yeah, so we switch over to the left side.
Cool.
Battle of the Roxy. I saw somebody post that.
Yeah,
Battle of the Roxy.
Battle of the Roxy DJs. Now, this one was pretty awesome. It definitely was one of the most talked about battles that you had on here, because exactly like you said, it was Battle of the Roxy resident DJs.
Victor Calderon, Peter Rawhofer. And it's funny, when I was doing the lineup, I was actually thinking of putting Junior versus Peter in that first round matchup. Yeah. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't put Peter and Junior in that first round right away. So what else would make sense? And this is what makes sense.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about it until somebody posted it, when somebody posted it in the chat, Battle of the Roxy. And that truly was the Battle of the Roxy.
Yeah. And they both had amazing remixes. Like, I know.
Oh, yeah.
You picked, I'm trying to, man, everything was just such, I'm still recovering from last night.
So for Victor, I started off with Mary Mary Shackles.
Huge record. And you were involved in that record as well, right?
Yes. With Tommy Boy, we did an album with Victor, his V equals MC squared album.
Uh-huh.
Which was it's a great compilation, but it was a great double vinyl for a DJ. It was a double vinyl set, had had that record on there. It had his, I think, Deborah Cox remix, had a Madonna remix,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great double album vinyl if you have that vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, can't wait to play this one.
Yeah, that was definitely a dope one. And then, Peter's Peter.
Yep.
Grammy Award winning remixer. Star 69 then later became Peter Rohrhofer.
And Hoscarelli told a really great story in the pregame show as well, where he worked with Peter all the time, and like Hosh said, like he argued with him all the time in a good way. Yeah. And he told Peter when he commissioned him the Eurythmics remix for 17, he told Peter, why are you using Club 69 or whatever? Why aren't you using your name? Use your name for these remixes. And he said that this was the Eurythmics 17 remix was one of the first remix, if not the first remix, that he used his actual name, Peter Rohrhofer. And that's what kind of, I guess, clicked with everybody. That's when people started to notice Peter Rohrhofer. I mean, he's been doing excellent work as Club 69, but nobody really knew what Club 69 or who he was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So moving on was Peter Rohrhofer.
Yep.
And then bouncing back to the other bracket was Hex Hector and Robbie Rivera. Now, when this was displayed, there were so many people that were like, oh, anybody who's paired up against Hex Hector in the first round, it's just going to be, let's call it what it is. It's going to be a slaughter. But what I do appreciate about this was it brought to light really a lot of great remixes that Robbie did. And you played one of my all-time favorite Robbie Rivera remixes, Dirty Dancing. And that was just such an... it brought me back to, even Hosh brought it up, because the first time I heard it was at Exit Earth, because it was Junior's party. And when Junior played that record, the lights would go off, it would be pitch black, and when it finally dropped, the lights would go on, and the snow machine would be like flurrying all over the whole entire club, and it just made such a massive impact. And what I could say about Robbie Rivera records is all of his records had that huge impact, no matter where you were on the dance floor. But Hex is Hex.
Yeah.
When your song is played in the middle of the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't meant to be an unfair matchup, but somebody had to go up against Hex in that first round. Somebody had to.
Yeah. And that's actually what everybody was commenting. They're like, oh, love Robbie, but it's Hex Hector. It's Hex Hector.
So he advances into the next round, which brings us to our last bracket on the left side. Danny Tenaglia and Junior Vasquez.
Yeah, Danny and Junior. This sparked a lot of controversy in the chat as well. Because, these two guys are legends. And they could very easily just not even be in this bracket because of all the amazing things that they have done for other DJs in the industry. But again, this was more of like a tribute type style broadcast that you had last night. And man, the chat was going crazy on this one for sure. And what'd you play for Danny? I keep forgetting the songs. I had it all basically memorized, but I think...
Well, for Danny, I played his Depeche Mode. I started his Depeche Mode, I Feel Loved. So that's the record that he won the Grammy for.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what was the second song? Now I'm drawing a blank.
I'm drawing a blank too. I definitely remembered I Feel Love. But then I forgot what the second one is. Shame on us for not remembering. But then it was junior time, and when the second you played a junior record, I mean, junior's junior. He did so much for everyone's careers in this industry. And what did you say? He when you looked up his discography?
Yeah, when I was looking up, when I was doing my research on all of the remixers, just in the 90s, he had over 3,000 releases.
Yeah.
3,000 releases in the 90s. When you add the 2000s with the 90s, he has like 5,000 releases.
Yeah.
That's just insane. That's crazy.
You want to talk about the remix queen? Junior is it. Junior is it. I even played earlier on Sunday. I did a 1 o'clock pop-up set, and I was so excited for what was going to go down for your show at 10 o'clock that I did a 1 o'clock junior tribute set, and I ended up playing 5 hours of all junior records. And I could have kept going. But man, moving on this round, it was a tough battle. It was really it sparked a lot of great discussion in the comments, and I think that's one thing that going back to what I said earlier, the comments and how people were really just talking it out with what records came out, what they produced, what they've done in their careers. This one definitely sparked a lot of comments, but at the end of the day, I mean, how can you compete with over 5,000 releases? And that creates a lot of memories for people, and everyone voted for Junior, rightfully so, and moved on to the final 8.
Well, before we go to that next round, I mean, I did see people in the chat too. Danny and Junior. I guess Junior had a lot of rivalries back in the day. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, he was the top dog.
Yeah. So obviously, there was a rivalry between Junior and Peter, but there was also this friendly rivalry, or I don't even know if it was friendly or not, but there was definitely a rivalry too with Junior and Danny. And it was hard for me to put these two together because, well, it was just hard for me to put anyone together with Junior.
Yeah. Because
he was the top dog, and it was kind of like, all right, do you want to see who's going to get out in that first round? Is it going to be Danny or is it going to be Peter? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was a really tough decision, but I wanted to see what the people thought.
Yeah.
And people spoke.
People spoke. So that brought us down to the final 8.
Yeah, the top 8.
The top
8, which was Junior, Peter, Razor Aguito, Todd, Harry, Hex, Armand, Jonathan Peters, and David Morales.
Yeah.
What were people saying?
That
you remember?
Everyone was just the consensus in the room was just excitement. Everybody was super pumped, but there was I remember a couple people were like, we demand a recount, especially for the Jonathan and Johnny Vicious battle. People were really passionate about that one, but just everyone was having so much fun. It was just so much fun. I was having so much fun. I could not stop putting those bits in and getting those trains going. I don't even know what the hell I was.
Yeah, so all the Twitch users, I noticed that. We actually had a hype train going on, a level 2 hype train. That was amazing. So thank you everybody out there who sent in bits, cheers, subscriptions. I even saw like people were, gifting subscriptions to other people. So that was the fun part of it too.
Hey, hold on. We have somebody that's wanting to say hi. Let me put them up in the comments. We got Bobby Shaw in the house.
Oh, Bobby Shaw.
Yeah. What's up, Bobby?
Bobby Shaw, for those that don't know, Bobby Shaw, music industry legend, who was responsible for breaking a lot of these records. And he still does it today, Actually, he's the man behind the scenes helping some of these artists and producer and remixers making it happen.
What's
So
up, Bobby? So happy to have you on. Hope you're having a pleasant day. And he just said, "Stop." But big shout out to everybody else that's on. I know. Let me give some quick shout outs. We got Carl DeFino that's in the house, Paul Longo, Daniel Margot. We got the Classics group that's playing this right now. So hello everybody to the Classics group. People from Classic Club Life is also tuned in. So guys, thank you so much for tuning into this quick pop-up thing. And Bobby Shaw, he also writes, "It's nice to see us. We're like the Filipino duo." Awesome, Bobby. Have a great day. So then, yeah, at the end of the day, you know what it was? It was just like, it was super engaging. And that's what made it so successful. It was so engaging and it got everybody involved. And that's probably what the vibe and the feeling, to answer your question, in the room was. That everybody was just having so much fun. So much fun. What's up, DJ Adam Bennett? So then that brought us to the 8.
yeah, our top 8.
Oh, wait, Bobby just said, waiting for a 2020 Riddler Mendez remix. Oh.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That would be fun. Oh, my God. How come we never work together on anything? I think we're just, you know what? My relationship with you, bro, like when we were living in the same town,
we lived in Clifton, New Jersey.
Clifton, New Jersey, the land of everyone from Clifton. Who else was from Clifton? Jeff Z,
Lucas Prada,
Lucas, Johnny Buds. Oh man, all the music gurus just went to Clifton. But you know what I love about my relationship with you is, even then we never really talked much about music. We're just friends. We talked about sports. We talked about everything else. You know, it's funny. Everybody, when they go, "Yo, what do you guys really talk about? Do you guys talk about music and with industry people?" Yeah, we do talk about that, but we're also human beings too. We have other things that we talk about outside of music, and um, that was great. I think we should work together at some point, right?
Yeah, maybe we should make that happen.
we
sure.
Definitely.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
definitely down for that.
Thanks, Bobby. So it brought us down to the final 8,
which we went back to David Morales and Jonathan Peters.
Yeah, that was. I have it circled. If you guys can see it, I have it circled because the winner on this one, it separated by 2 votes. And I remember during this last night when we were texting back and forth on who won, it was another one of those, hey, you got to like wait a second because people are still discussing this.
Yeah, because I remember, because in my first count, I had David actually winning.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like going back and forth.
Yeah.
David was up by 1, then JP was up by 1,
yeah.
and David was back up by 1. I mean, it was pretty close.
It was pretty close. And what did you? I'm trying to think of what you played for one of those guys.
I played Paula Cole, "I Believe in Love." I know that.
Uh-huh.
I know I played that for JP in that round. And then for David, what did I play in that round? I am drawing a blank now.
No, thank God for the replay, because we're definitely, I'm going to start a watch party as soon as this is over, because I did also see in the comments that people wanted to be able to see it. So it gives us another opportunity to.
Yeah, man. 4 hours is a long time, man. And
long time.
Especially on a Sunday night, you know, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm drawing a, because there was a couple of David Morales mixes that I wanted to play. I had the vinyl for his U2 Discotheque remix. But I didn't get to play that. So yeah, I'm not sure what I played.
Yeah. Well, like I said, thank God for the replay, and we're definitely going to start that watch party. But
yeah,
hey, separated by two votes, Jonathan Peters moved forward, and that was definitely
he was our first producer into the final 4.
Yeah, first producer into the final 4. So then we bopped over to it was Todd Terry versus Razor.
Razor and Guido.
Yeah, hold on, I'm trying to look at, and that was another close one too. The one thing about all these little tick marks that you see here, and what I said earlier, is that everybody was so engaged, Rich, like so engaged, and I think that's one thing that people seem to forget about when it comes to the streaming game these days. You have to get your viewers engaged, and this was an amazing way to get us all in there for sure.
Yeah, and I remember playing Todd Terry's Lolita Holloway Love Sensation remix, following it up with Razor and Guido's Vanessa Mitchell,
Uh huh.
This Joy, because I was like, oh, divas, you know,
Diva. Hey,
Battle of the Divas kind of.
Hosh Garelli is on. What's up, Hosh?
Hosh!
He
Thank
said
you
he,
again, Hosh. I can't thank him enough for sharing his experiences and his stories. A little behind the scene things when we aired that. It wasn't actually live. We talked for like 3 hours.
3 hours. Yeah, I remember you were saying, and you had it.
And I had to edit it down for, down to about an hour, a little over an hour, like an hour and 20 minutes. But we had so many stories that didn't make it because some of them were like kind of off the record, but he had some great stories, and I wish I could have we could have talked for probably another 3 more hours on it. But thank you again, Hosh, because it definitely helped. I felt like that show was important for the viewers to watch so that they can get a little background on the producers and the remixers, so they can just have a better idea of who they're, when they're listening to these songs, they can kind of get a sense of who they were.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we didn't have social media back then. So all you could go by was like word of mouth, which probably added to the legends of all of these producers and remixers back then, right?
Oh yeah.
Because imagine if we had cell phones and social media during this time. How different would it be? If it would be different, I always wonder that.
I'm kind of glad it didn't.
Same here.
Kind of glad it didn't. There's even this one meme that I saw somebody post. It was like clubbing in 2006, and it's a picture of a club, everybody raging, and then it cuts to clubbing in 2020, and it's everybody on their like cell phones, like taking selfies and stuff. But I think that added to the culture and the folktale, so to speak,
right.
The Monday morning quarterback, when everybody like us would go to the record stores and talk about, oh my God, Junior played this record for God knows how long, and it went. Do you know what it is?
Or on the flip side of that, you would be like, whoa, Junior in the middle played the Doobie Brothers, long time running.
Yeah.
With Robbie Rivera's Dirty Dancing. Or Victor Calderon bringing out a 50-piece orchestra playing Brain Bug. Those are the things that.
Were you there for that?
I wasn't there, but Hosh Garelli told this story. Were you there?
Yeah, I got there late. I got there early in the morning. I missed it though. I missed it. That was a great party. Great party.
Yeah, that's the thing. Today obviously it's more visual. Clubs are more visual. They have the cool LED screens and flashy lights. But man, when clubs put production back then, it was like a production.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking like 50-piece orchestras and and animals running through the club. So we had Razor and Guido advancing into the final four.
To the final four, that was Todd Terry versus Razor and Guido. Razor and Guido just took it.
Yeah.
Hometown heroes. So I'm trying to think. I think that's where Razor was chiming in, and he really was giving us a lot of great facts on
Hmm.
his production work and telling us a little bit more of the relationship between him and Guido and how Guido was just such um, an amazing like engineer, and the way they worked together and putting out those records was just it was great to have him on there. I really could not believe how much he participated, and it showed how much fun he was having. And him having fun with the rest of us just made this show even better. So it was great.
Yeah.
Then we bopped over to Hex Hector versus
Armand.
Armand, and then that honestly was just another one of those. It's Hex Hector.
Right.
It's Hex.
Right. Yeah. I don't remember what I don't remember what I played in that second round. I do remember playing in the first round when I going back because ironically enough, Hex actually hit me up Sunday morning, not related to this, but we were just shooting the shit. He just hit me up on Facebook. We were talking shit about the Yankees and the Astros.
Yeah.
But I did happen to ask him, all right, Hex, out of all the remixes you've done, what's the one remix that you like? And he said, that's easy. I don't like any of them. I guess because that's just his way of saying, like, he doesn't want to pick.
Uh-huh.
But he did say if he had to pick one,
I remember.
it would be Everything But the Girl Temperamental.
Yeah.
The remix that he did for that. So I did play that remix, and that's a great remix too. I actually forgot about that remix until he brought it up.
The HQ2 team, man, that as soon as you started speaking, that's when I remembered that's what you played for Hex.
Actually, I think I do know what I played in this round. I played his Mary J. Blige, You Think I Don't Know.
Yeah, you know what? Now I'm thinking about it, you did, because I text you. I'm like, holy crap, I forgot about this record, and I can't believe I don't have it. I can't believe it.
Yeah, that was another record that I was able to be a part of when I worked at MCA. That record was remixed for the Mary J. Blige remix album.
Mm-hmm.
And I always loved that remix. I always felt that was a underappreciated remix.
Yeah.
So
that kick, the beat and the kick and the hats to that, it was just so simple.
Mm-hmm.
It worked. Just worked.
Yeah. And it got him into the Final Four.
It got him into the Final Four. But we have to bop over to another battle
Which, this was the battle, like I said, I predicted this matchup
at some point, right?
At some point, whether it be in the first round, which I didn't want to do. So I said, all right, let's see if it happens in the next round, which it did.
It did.
And this was crazy because I was seeing some people, this is not fair. This is like making us choose between our kids. This was the matchup people did, I think, dreaded voting on.
Yeah, everyone did, and I even have it like on my tally sheet. It's circled. It's circled because this separated the winner by one vote.
I even saw you post, "I'm not voting."
No, actually, you know what it was? Was it that one I was not voting?
Or was it the Final Four?
I think is when it got to the Final Four. I said, I can't vote here.
No, I did see some people say that too, though, in this round. They're like, I can't vote.
Yeah.
I can't vote. People were torn.
I'm telling you, what this show really brought out the emotions in people. And when it comes to, especially this day where streaming, you need to be creative and, again, engaging the viewer, this brought it out in everyone. And the way people were reacting to having to decide who moves forward between Junior and Peter was just really refreshing to see, again, the passion behind what people felt about the music then. And the winner, of course, went to Junior by a slim margin, but that was definitely a topic of discussion for a little while on that battle.
So now we had our final four. It
The
was
five,
Junior,
four.
Razor and Guido, Jonathan, and Hex.
Yes. This is where I was like, I can't vote. So I guess we'll go to the right one. So we had Jonathan versus Hex.
Yeah, I mean, this was hard. I mean, if you're a New Yorker, this was definitely
Hmm.
a hard one to choose.
Yeah, it was definitely a hard one to choose. But you want to know something? Like when it came to the votes, every the voting, it was one of those things that everybody voted for Hex, but everyone had nothing but love for JP.
Right.
I think it just came down to when people were voting last night, it just came down to wasn't really more the emotional side, because the emotional side really people wanted to vote for Jonathan, but when you go on paper and the things that Hex has done, everybody voted for Hex. But immediately after, I love you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
still going to
there
tune into you
there
on
like
Saturday nights, but we're talking about remixes here.
yeah, I saw and it's funny because I did see a couple of my Twitch regulars were that are huge Jonathan Peters fans,
Uh-huh.
right? And even then they're like, I love you, JP, but we gotta, yeah, it was tough. It was definitely I was definitely um it was interesting and very amusing to see people's strings being pulled, being torn, their heart being broken.
Was being torn, and even like during that battle, right? So what I was thinking about when it came to that pairing was like when I and it's not a knock to like Jonathan's production. Like we all know Jonathan's a dope producer, but when I think of Jonathan, for me personally, he's a DJ for me. Like his gift is both, but when I think of Jonathan, I think of my early mornings at Sound Factory, his sets all over the world, like going to his marathon sets. And that's what I think of first when I think of Jonathan. It's his DJing, his cult following, his the way he works records and makes it memorable for you to think about throughout the whole entire week. That is why I had to vote for Hex, because when I think of Hex Hector, I think of Waiting for Tonight. I think of Deborah. I think of the Super Bowl. J Lo. He was on
Yep.
Saturday Night Live performing with J Lo. I mean, just when I think of Hex Hector, I think of production. When I think of Jonathan, I think of marathon, amazing DJ sets, and that's where I feel everyone else felt the same way and voted for Hex.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's called Battle of the Remixers. We
Re-
were
Bat-
strictly remixing.
you know what? If you were to ever do Battle of the DJs, that would probably spike some fights. So don't get that idea, Battle of the DJs. I think people will start coming to blows when this is all said and done. But
Yeah, no, I wouldn't put that on people. That definitely would start some fires
mhm, for sure.
that I can't put out.
But Hex moves on
Into the finals,
into the finals, and that brings us to,
Junior and Razor and Guido.
and that's where I wrote in the comments, I'm not voting here. I'm not voting for this one because these two,
I said it in the live stream. It's teacher versus the student.
it
You
really,
know,
it really was. I mean, like when I think of Junior, I think of Razor and Guido. When I think of Razor and Guido, I think of Junior. I mean, you know, and everybody else knows what a humongous Junior fan I am, and what a big Razor and Guido fan I am. And this one, I was really, really, really torn. Um, and so were a lot of other people. So were a lot of other people. And even when it came to the voting, uh, it was it was not close. And what was funny was even Razor goes, "I'm voting for Junior on this one." But it's hard to not talk about one without the other because I think something that even Hosh said in the show leading up into this is Junior just made so many people's careers, you know, made so many
Yeah.
careers. And Razor and Guido are one of those many DJs of where Junior just broke their records like crazy. I'll never forget the time I heard "Do It Again." Junior broke it. I'll never forget the time I heard "Rain," White Label remix from Razor and Guido. Junior played it. "Weep." Oh, just so many records that Junior would play of Razor and Guido that, you know, at the end of the day, when it comes to the remixing aspect of it, over 5,000 remixes in a decade, Junior moves forward.
Yeah. Which brought us to the epic battle, Junior and Hex.
Junior and Hex.
I mean, so in the finals, I think I played Mel C, I Turn to You
Yeah.
in the finals for Hex.
Hmm.
Because that was a remix that was a little bit, a little bit different from the other stuff that I was playing earlier, but also it was just a monster record at that time.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
But leading up into this, are these the two remixers that you thought would make it to the end after
yes.
what's said and done? This is like who you were like, all right, this is who's going. If everything works right, like this.
Yeah,
vision.
that's who I had in my final bracket.
Yeah.
Like I said, I figured that was going to be the matchup. The eventual matchup was going to be Hex versus Junior.
You know what I really found great about this, and I think you and I spoke about it because when we're talking about the remixers, I initially thought that it was going to be a popularity contest. I think I remember saying that to you. I'm like, dude, this is just going to be a popularity contest, and we all know who's going to win on this one. But it definitely proved me wrong because the people really were extremely subjective when it came to the voting. And
I think also too, it's the songs too that I kind of played.
that's
Some of the songs that I played also played part of the decision making process too. That's why I tried to kind of, obviously you have to play some of the familiar stuff, but that's why especially in that first round when I was playing two songs from each producer,
yes.
I wanted to kind of play one familiar and then one maybe not so familiar, remix, so they get a little bit of context. But man, this matchup was the one that I think I wanted to see. And obviously people wanted to see this matchup too.
Yeah, everyone wanted to see this matchup, and again, the engagement when it came down to these last two, uh, again, mega remixers and producers in their own right, it was definitely something that the community truly appreciated, and the way that it navigated to get to these two, and the discussions and the emotions and the ups and the downs and the lefts and the rights between the comments and the people listening, especially for myself, getting to this point was such an amazing journey. And the 4 hours that it took to get to this point was totally worth it. And it didn't even feel like 4 hours.
I lost complete track of time, to be honest. Normally, when I do, like I said, when I do these Sunday night streams, I usually just do 2 hours. And anything more than 2 hours, my wife will start throwing piñatas and chanclas at me, right?
I remember that.
She didn't do that last night, but she was texting me. He's like, "Hey, man, you got to turn it down. You're too loud. Your voice is too loud." It wasn't the music that was loud. She said, "Your voice is too loud." Because I was just getting so hyped with each round, each passing round. I was just getting so hyped and getting excited, and the anticipation of getting to this final between Hex and Junior. And I will say this, like what you were saying, before we started this, I know who my audience is on my stream and my channel, and everybody that's been watching this Sunday show knows that I play a lot of Hex. I play a lot of Hex on my Sunday night show. So actually, in my bracket, I actually had Hex winning.
Yeah.
I thought Hex was going to be the winner, just based on the, based on who watches my stream typically. But what I learned last night, first of all, thank you to all the new followers that I had watching the show.
Yeah.
This was the most watched show on Twitch that I've had in 17 weeks. And I saw a lot of new faces on here. People from all over the world were tuning in last night. It wasn't just New York tri-state area people. I had a lot of people on the West Coast. I had some people in Hawaii. It was crazy. So that's why my brackets were all off. And because I didn't know how it was going to lay out, to be honest with you. I didn't know if people outside of New York were going to give that love to Junior.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but eventually we found out.
Yeah, and we did find out. And it was Junior Vasquez at the end of the day that took the trophy home.
Yes. The king or queen of the remixers.
Yeah.
Junior.
Yeah. I mean, I had Junior winning the whole entire time. I mean, even when you started posting all this stuff and we were beginning this whole entire conversation, Junior, I mean, his nickname back in the day was, if God was a DJ, it's Junior Vasquez. Let's be real. And the catalog of what he came out with, the impact that he's had, the amount of careers he has launched, just everything that he's done in this industry is just hands down a cut above the rest. And he, of course, if it's gonna be two top remixers that are in this, it's definitely got to be Hex. It's definitely going to be Junior. But we all know Junior is the man, the myth, the legend.
He's the king. He's the remix king, especially, like I said, from 95 to 2005. I mean, like I said, doing my research, like over probably 5,000 releases between the 90s and 2000s. That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what? I'm looking at the comments here, and Bobby Shaw brings up a really, really good point. It also helps to have a great club to play at every week that everyone went to. And that was something that even with Jonathan, when you have that residency, and I think that's one thing that I miss about then was the resident DJ. It's building that following, understanding your audience, just like you know your audience, and the cult following that these guys have to break these kind of records and to make the impact that they did was truly amazing. And great point, Bobby. Great point.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great night. It was a long night for me. Not so much for you. You're used to this. But yeah, you know, this could have easily have been 5 hours if I actually played every remix all the way through. I mean, I tried to play most of it, but I mean, some of these mixes were like 12 minutes long.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I even said. I think when we were talking afterwards and texting back and forth, when I made the comment that you played for 4 hours, and I was like, welcome to playing like a nice marathon set. Imagine had you played the whole entire song. Dude, you got 8 hours in the bag, no problem.
Yeah, and if I actually like go back and forth like they used to do back in the day, forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was really happy with the way it turned out. Like you said, it was engaging, it was fun. People were having a good time, good vibes. And to be honest, it's going to be kind of hard to beat this show. I have ideas for some other shows, but man, after like it took me 2 hours to kind of unwind because I was just thinking about it, and man, I don't even know how I could top this show.
You know what? I say that to myself every single week when I do my streams. Every I've been streaming every week, sometimes 2 times a week for what? How long? You've been on for 17 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So I think I started maybe a week or two before you.
Hmm.
So I always say that to myself, Rich. It's like, oh my God, I just crushed a marathon set. I just played all these records. I don't know how I'm going to top it. But you know what, Rich? You're going to top it. And I cannot wait to see what you come up with next. I really cannot wait because this was epic. And I can't, like I said, you're going to top it. I know you are. You're going to come up.
Yeah, it would. I mean, it's fun. Like I said, this all started with the Divas Battle of the Divas bracket, and like I said, that happened because I was watching your live stream. You know, and that's a big thing too. Big shout outs to all the DJs that have been streaming and that continue to do it. I know that it doesn't matter how many people are watching, even if only one person is watching, I'm going to keep doing it because maybe that one person is having a tough day. And if I can just put a smile to their face and have them think of other things, then I did my job. And last night, I think I did my job.
Yes, you did. You sure did. And you had us in the palm of your hands for 4 hours engaged. Again, I'm like laying in bed with my light and I'm sitting here with my notebook and I'm like taking down score and everybody was just blowing it up. And like I said, you're going to come up with something. I'm super confident that you are. And shout out, of course, to all the DJs, like you mentioned, who are keeping up, being consistent with playing. But thank you, DJ Riddler, for all that you've done throughout this whole entire pandemic. Because let's recognize you have been playing for 17 weeks on a Sunday night. You have a family. You're 1 hour behind, and you continue to be consistent and showing love to your former home, which is the Northeast. And I appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else appreciates it. And what I can say for me, I miss you very much, bro. I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you too. I miss everybody up in the tri-state area, and I hope that once all this COVID stuff is over, we can all party together, throw down a set together, and do this show actually together live in person. I mean, I was doing this show, even you got to remember, Texas reopened for a short bit, and I was actually DJing back in the clubs for a short while. But even when I was DJing in the clubs, I still made it a point to come back and do this show
Hmm.
on Sunday nights. I was doing like a Sunday pool party
Yeah.
for a couple of weeks, and I would rush home and still make it in time to do this Sunday show because this Sunday show is just so special to me because it does remind me of my time. I lived in the tri-state area from 95 till 2007. So, and that's why I also picked this period of time because this was the time when I was up there. And, I thank you. I thank everyone that has shown support, shown love for supporting the stream, supporting other people like yourself, Andrew, and all the other DJs that continue to do it. And I can't wait for that time when I can come up to New Jersey or New York and see all of you guys again.
Yeah, for sure. Um, but hey, man, look at that. An hour and a half has passed, just like that.
Yeah, like that.
Just like that. And Battle of the Remix recap show. You have any final thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, man, it was great. I think what would really be awesome is if we could see these producers remixers DJ live together again. That would be fun. But also, like I say, like big shouts to everybody that's been doing it. I know that was it New York City Reset.
Yes. Uh-huh.
That's amazing.
That was a great event. It was brought to us by Global Audio Systems and Jason Ojeda, Mike Nervous, and Benny Soto putting together the production.
Yeah.
And that was a great show. That was a great weekend, actually. I was shot because I was up all day watching that production, and then I had to do that long-ass marathon set in the heat that Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, my son, he knows who you are now. He's like, hey, and now that's what he's like. Hey, that's Andrew Mendez. That's the DJ that spun for 7 hours in the hot sun in the pool. Like, he knows. So
it was super hot. I've never, if anyone's watching, you DJs out there, and I see that more DJs are starting to do pool sets. Prevent your stuff from overheating. I'm telling you right now. I even saw your comment on Twitch, Rich. You're like, yeah, his hard drive is actually heating up or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know that from my experience of DJing in pools. You have to have, next time you do that, you got to have some kind of ice bucket. Put your laptop over an ice bucket. A fan is cool, but no, you got to have some cold ice on that laptop. So
that was funny when I saw that. Like, literally, I saw that the picture was going like dit, 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 dit. And then I saw a comment, his computer's overheating, and I'm like, that was when I had the aha moment. Like, oh my god, that is right. And that's when I started telling everybody around me, like, yo, let's get some fans up in this bitch.
Yeah,
gotta cool this stuff off.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. But thanks again for doing this. I think it was important that we did this recap just to kind of just recap it for people. And yeah, definitely watch the replay if you can. Actually, I'm going to share this with you guys. I'm actually going to take a break this Sunday.
Okay.
I'm going on a family trip close by.
Very nice.
But I will replay. I'll just do a rebroadcast of this past Sunday as well.
Fantastic.
So if you missed it, I mean, Andrew, you're going to share it. I mean, we'll do a watch party for Facebook, but I will also replay it again this Sunday as well.
Super cool. Well, Rich, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us today and to, talk to everybody about the mindset of putting this together. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of everybody in the music industry. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all that you've done. And thank you for everything that you're going to continue to do to engage us in the common goal to bring the community together. And this was amazing. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Love you.
I love you too, my man. All right, guys. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in to another wonderful episode of Chillin' with Mendez. Guys, do not forget on Wednesday night, myself and DJ Dimitri T are going to be doing a back-to-back set at 8 o'clock at a location that you are going to really, truly love. We're going to knock your socks off. So 8 o'clock on Twitch at Lost and Found Group, and also going to be on Facebook Live. Guys, thank you so very much for always tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you soon. Have a good day, guys.